I found that there was a lot of misinformation, incorrect information, uncomfortable information. There was a lot of things happening in this sector that involved the inability of an employer to be direct with a candidate, or an unawareness on the part of anybody who's giving advice to the job-seeking population to really know and understand exactly what's going on out there. So who better than an individual that sits in an employment agency every single day representing growth-oriented companies, dealing with employers that are primarily from growth-oriented sectors, and really listening to how their world has changed from the business standpoint and how that directly relates to how they seek out a candidate. And from an entry level to an executive level, so much has changed. And what's very, very interesting that when you speak with an employer and you better understand their frustrations, their motivations, what it is that they need to grow their company from a candidate selection process, it's amazing how poorly they've even communicated in their own companies what the wants and demands are of their everyday business. So it has left so many people lost. I mean, we see young people that are just coming out of college that have, items in their toolbox, but they're having a very difficult time in jump-starting their career path. We see people that would love to enhance what it is they're doing from an occupational standpoint, but they've heard so many horrible things about the economy that they're paralyzed and they won't make a move. And then we hear so greatly from individuals that have been in a particular business and find themselves at a crossroad because their background is not as marketable as it used to be. So the reason why we chose our topic for today, get ahead of your job search, is because we have to better understand what the beginning is of our job search process. And when you speak to a normal job seeker, you hear the normal rhetoric. I found out that I was going to be looking for a position. I was forced into looking for a position. I want to look for a position. Whatever category you fall into as a listener today, what I can assure you is one of the first things that you did was really focus on getting collateral material together in the form of a resume, in the form of a LinkedIn profile, whatever the case may be. You just jumped right into facilitating tasks because we've been so conditioned to believe that's what we need to do to get started. And the fact of the matter is, it's like anything that you do. We need to first begin the process with understanding what we need to do in order to move not only our job search process forward, but certainly our career forward. So we need to take time to think. And I have to say to you, I don't see a lot of well thought out plans. It is a rarity that somebody comes to me and has anything that resembles a strategy. Above and beyond, I need to work, I need to get a job. Above and beyond a very emotional response because they have worked themselves up into such a frenzy, they're not even thinking in the most powerful way that they can, all right? And I get that. I get how scary it is. I get the emotions. I get the uncertainty. I get the belief that things are rough out there. And what we hope that we're going to accomplish in our hour together here today is that we're going to be able to provide you a new way to look at your future. And it's going to be, Buddhism, all right? I just want to prepare you. There's going to be areas of uncomfortability. And that's the reason why we started with the left brain and right brain exercise. Because if you are looking at your left brain and you have identified a multitude of different descriptors that match who you are as a person, What that is saying is that you are operating very, very strongly in an analytical space, in an analytical place. And because of that, I want to prepare you that the job search process that you're most accustomed to is one that tends to be very systematic. So yes, of course, Joan, I get a resume together. Yes, I post on Monster. Yes, I do a LinkedIn profile. So it's a very systematic approach. So for you, I want you to know that this is going to be very different. It's going to be very uncomfortable. And again, it's going to be very normal, because that left brain is the side that really guides you. So this abnormality is going to make you uncomfortable. So be prepared for that. Recognize it so that you don't tune out as we're moving into more right brain thoughts. Okay, that's very important. So look at your score for the left brain, and if you find yourself in that 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 category, you are very, very heavily thinking on an analytical type of basis, all right? For me, honestly, I had 3 on that left-hand side, and frankly, I cheated, because the truth of the matter was I really only had 2, but I was so embarrassed that I only had 2, I added another one, all right? The truth of the matter is that I can live in that left brain world, but I don't necessarily love utilizing that left brain side. And you can see that when you look at the right brain descriptors, they tend to be a lot more creative. They tend to be a lot more visual. It's one of those areas and exercises that you go through that you see that you're not as in tune to a person's name as you are how they look. You're very, very affected more by, you know, beauty and things on the outside world that make more of an impression, a positive impression on you. So on the left-hand side, you find a lot of engineers living there. You find a lot of people, accountants, individuals that, again, it tends to be very, very normal for them to think in that particular way. On the right-hand side, you find Steve Jobs, all right? When you look at Apple and better understand his history, Apple was really born from a design. Steve Jobs went to school for design. That's why the streamlinedness of the Apple products is different than tradition, because he had a very strong belief that that look was so important to the overall experience. So you better understanding, this is where I am on the left and this is where I am on the right, provides you a really unique opportunity in this job search process, okay? So if you're more prevalent on that right-hand side, you're going to see that what we're talking about today is more unique, more creative, and you're going to be able to listen and adapt to that, all right? If you're, again, more on that left-hand side, these concepts are going to be a little bit harder for you to get, and you're probably going to have to keep on going back to what we're talking about today just to really have them resonate with you and to make more sense, because you look at things in an A, B, C thought process, all right? Now, your natural question, and certainly Amanda is going to be here and she's going to be letting me know about what specific questions we do have. But when I do these exercises in person, the first question that somebody asks me is, well, Joan, what's good? I mean, should I be right brain? Should I be left brain? I mean, is it better to be left brain? Is it better to be right brain? That's literally the first thing that they ask me. The truth of the matter is that most people have an inclination for one side of their brain, left or right, all right? What's very, very unique about neuroscience and a lot of the recent research that I've been studying and certainly being directly schooled in is that everybody believed that whatever your natural inclination was was your natural inclination. You couldn't teach a dog new tricks, all right? And what people are finding out, again through this extensive brain research, is that is absolutely not true. You can teach a dog new tricks. And from 16 to 101, you can teach a dog new tricks. But it starts with this level of awareness. And the goal is that you are operating on as close to an even keel representation as you could be. So let's just say that you are an engineer, and you're very, very high on that left brain side, and you look at those right brain things, and you're like, I'm so uncomfortable with small talk and communicating in this way, or whatever the case may be. The awareness that you are uncomfortable with it allows you the opportunity to get comfortable with it, all right? And as we get a little bit further in the slides, I'm going to explain to you how and why that can happen for you. So your ability to understand that there's things on the right side that will definitely help you personally, definitely help you professionally, because we run into a lot of young people that are just getting out of engineering school that can't communicate. And I'm saying to you, as a person who places engineers every day, that is such a huge problem. We need to find those people that can communicate, who are almost sales engineers, because although they're not selling a product, they are working in an environment that requires those strong communication skills, all right? So the great news about it is, as scary as looking at your opposite side of the brain and saying, oh my gosh, I can't do that, which is a natural response, by the by, the truth of the matter is you can, but it just takes practice, all right? So I want you really to keep these left and right brain sheets. And I want you to have them in your possession as we're going through the webinar, because what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to look at the potential areas on whatever side of the brain it is that can be holding you back from the best representation of you incorporated. That's what we call the business of you, all right? And the reason why we do is what we've learned from employers is that the way they view a candidate is that everyone owns a business, and it's the business of yourself, all right? And how you run it, the decisions you make, how you represent it, how you brand it, your core ethics. I mean, all of those things come into play, all right? So as you're looking at the whole job search process, you're going to be able to get a better understanding of why you could potentially be suffering in one area. So keep this handy, write it down. It's great because you're in the comfort of your own home, so be courageous, all right? And what's amazing is I've had people go back and retake this after our career courses that we're heavily involved in. And it's amazing how the numbers start to change, how they start, you know, if I'm a left brain, those stay pretty consistent, but all of a sudden, little by little by little, I'm raising those right brain scores. Again, starting with awareness, all right? So, Amanda, do we feel good, like everybody's up to speed, everybody's, you know, got their information? You want me to kind of take a breath here and you?
Sure. And I just want to say that this is our very first time actually doing handouts with a webinar. So some of you came in late or, you know, signed up late. We tried to get them to you as best we could this morning and last night. But please know that this webinar is going to be recorded. So if you missed the first half and you still want to do the exercise, we'd be more than happy to send you the link so that you can at least watch that 10-minute segment of Joan speaking about the exercise. I can also send you the handout. So just, you know, chat me in the chat box, and I will put you on a list, and I'll make sure that you get everything. So please don't feel like you're being left out today.
Yeah, it is just so funny because, you know, I was thinking, Amanda, while you were saying this, because I happened to do this exercise yesterday with one of my clients, all right? And she did her left brain thing, and she literally has so much analytical work to do. She had one on the left-hand side of her brain, and she had like everything on the right-hand side of her brain. And she was so stressed out because her boss had literally given her all this stuff, all this junk, all these duties, all this responsibilities. It was all left brain focused. So what did she do? She immediately like went to a normal freak out zone and just kind of going through it and saying, okay, number one, now I better understand why I'm so uncomfortable. You know, this makes perfect sense to me. And in moving then to understand, okay, let's break it down in a right brain way, but we need to get these left brain areas really working because it's so important to your role as a person going forward. So just that clarity was just so amazing. So without a doubt, yes, you guys, I mean, don't worry about it. We can certainly get it, but I think it's important that from a getting the baseline of it, you know, hopefully I've spent enough time for you to understand that it's normal to have prevalent characteristics on one or the other side. It's wonderful if you were almost equal. That's going to make this even easier. But the truth of the matter is, the great news of the matter is that you can be working towards using those dormant areas in a super effective way with awareness. And again, that's what we hope to accomplish today. So I think we're okay to kind of continue unless you have a question.
Okay. We actually have a comment here. It's from Peter, and he says Toastmaster organizations are also a great way to help left brain folks develop communication skills.
Peter, I have to tell you, I love that. I love that. I mean, to be able to get out, and there's alcohol, which is always good. Anytime there's alcohol, it's one of those things where people tend to relax more. But it's very, very interesting, and I tell the story all the time about I bought 2 years worth of radio shows, and you know, I told my partner, you know, I bought 2 years of radio shows, and she said, why would you buy 2 years of radio shows? We hate the radio. And I said, that is true. We hate being on the radio. We hate that there's no energy. We hate that process. But you know what? We are going to take that uncomfortability and we're going to make it comfortable. And the only way we're going to do it is by doing it, all right? And I am here to tell you we stunk, I mean, for months. I mean, you know, the producers were trying to help us. The radio station was trying to help us. I mean, we hated it. And after that, I mean, needless to say, it allows me to do this with you today. Just getting out there, being uncomfortable, trial by fire, you know. In so many instances, again, those left-brainers, they don't want to put themselves into uncomfortable positions because it is so awkward. But the truth of the matter is there are so many great networking opportunities. There's so many great casual type of environments for you to get your feet wet. You don't have to be as crazy as me and buy thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of radio shows, only then to have to worry about the sponsors after and figure out what we're going to talk about for 2 years. So there's plenty of opportunities to be able to do that. So thank you, Peter. I appreciate that comment. All right. So if we can continue on. And now, and I'm not going to get real scientific with you guys today. You know, I mean, obviously, we only have a short period of time together. But what I want to impress on you that's very, very important is that you have a predetermined set of thoughts that are working in that frontal lobe of your brain. And that traditionally, when you're asked a question, is the storage facility that you go to administer a response. All right, that's just the normal. We have all, you know, patterns, past experience. We have a bunch of things that works within this frontal part of the brain. All right, and because of that, and when I'm counseling one-on-one or I'm counseling in a group, and I throw out a question, people are very, very quick to respond back to me. And again, it's coming right from that frontal part of the brain. What I'm asking you to do at this juncture is to not be so automatic in your thought process and to really start to dig deeper, because it's through that experience where opportunities start to arise that you never in a million years thought about, all right? I can share with you so many examples of people that have amazing positions, who have amazing careers, and they did not identify an opportunity, they did not identify a company and anything that was remotely traditional, in a traditional way. So their resume wasn't up on Monster. There wasn't those traditional, this is how I'm going to do it. They literally knew where they wanted to go, and then they started to map out the steps to help them accomplish that ultimate goal. I can't tell you how many people in my career reform courses get positions that weren't advertised, that there was no knowledge of. I mean, through sources that are so unusual. I just had a gentleman who went through one of my outplacement programs, and he did volunteer work at a major company within the Buffalo area because he had heard through the grapevine that there was going to be a position coming up. And because of the volunteer work that he did, the position never got posted. He was interviewing throughout the whole, process of the position, going from requisition to approval to finalization. And he ended up getting a position and a completely unrelated type of job than he had had prior. Certainly he had transferable skills, but he never in a million years would have thought of this. He was a left-brain person, and I am here to tell you, for the first couple weeks together, I mean, he cried. I mean, he cried real tears. When he lost his job, he was a wreck. His world had been rocked to its core, all right? So again, I just want you to know that it's very, very important that positive self-talk, taking deep breaths, really understanding, and if we can get into what this next slide looks like. When you talk about David Rock, who is a famed neuroscientist, and I encourage anybody to go to his website because I'm here to tell you he has got such wonderful free collateral that really helps you better understand this. But in a nutshell, what he says is that the brain's, major purpose is to keep an individual safe and away from harm. And when we're in a position that we consider vulnerable, which in most instances people do because of the job search process, it's very, very uncomfortable for them, we are going to do anything we can to get away from that uncomfortable feeling and get to comfort. I just had a gentleman who got to me 2 evenings ago who has an amazing background. It's amazing. 10 years with one company. He lost his position, and he just took a job that I am telling you is so ridiculous. How in the world is he going to explain the decision that he made to take that job to an employer? Because I can assure you, there is no way that he's going to be happy in it. But because he lost his position, because he was feeling vulnerable, he took the absolute first thing that was offered to him. It's not a full-time role. It's a contract role. He had to sign an agreement that he would not look for a position during this time. Oh my gosh, why in the world would you put yourself in that illogical position? Because when you're uncomfortable, when you're freaking out, logic does not enter into the equation, all right? So you have to make sure, you guys, that you really know and understand that if you're looking for a position and you do this well and you represent it in a variety of different ways that's most effective, I can assure you that you can get back on the road to greatness. But it starts with having this honest conversation with yourself. Am I mentally prepared to do this? Right? Am I physically prepared to do this? Do I have all my collateral in place? Go back to you Incorporated. Do you have all your collateral in place that is the best way to represent you Incorporated. You have to do those things before you commence on this process. So what we wanted to really lead back to is that, as you know, I've seen so much misinformation. As I've been involved in listening to people tell me, honestly, time after time after time again, that, you know, they are not getting a position because of this, or they're not getting a position because of that, it had motivated me to say, you know what, we need to stop the madness. And I'm very proud to report that my book is going to be out in the month of March, and we are going to have our first official book signing in the month of April. And if anybody would like to attend that book signing, please, please, please let Amanda know, because we can only have a limited amount of guests, and we would love to have anybody who wants to be part of that from a job search process be part of that. But I was impassioned to write this book because what I found, what my partner found, what my staff found, what my branches found, what the employers found, is that there was a core set of beliefs that were so ingrained in people's minds that we had an incredibly difficult time in convincing them that those beliefs were the absolute worst thoughts that they could have in moving into the job search process. So this research was based on informal surveys, formal surveys, employers. I mean, we just took a myriad of information, and it all came together. So since we're in a circle mode, I'd love for you to be circling or writing down, or however it's most appropriate for you, to really look at what I wrote about, which is no more bad advice. And what I did was I took the 10 pieces of advice that everybody gets. I literally have gotten every single one of these pieces of advice throughout my career, all right? And we're turning them on their ear, and we're saying, oh my goodness gracious, don't look at this advice, don't believe this advice, flip it upside down, because the economy and technology and a variety of other things have changed to the extent where these pieces of advice just aren't true any longer, all right? So I'd like to go through them with you. So again, as we've gotten into your thoughts, and you better understand, left-brainers, be prepared, because I'm going to be hitting you at your core. Right-brainers are going to be starting to say, oh my gosh, I'm doing that. Yeah, oh, okay, I see the other side of it. So again, as we embark on these pieces, just want to make sure that you buckle your seatbelts and you understand that these are the most common things we hear. And again, not just at the employment agency, but in a variety of different ways. So we're going to start with number 10, just like David Letterman, and we're going to work backwards. And as we're going through this, guys, if anybody has a question or a comment, don't hesitate to let Amanda know, all right? And we'll be happy to cover it. I know I wish we had like more time, but we'd be happy to cover it with you while we're at that particular slide, all right? Number 10, family and friends know best. I cannot tell you how many people go into occupational choices based on a very, very small source of information, all right? And, you know, it could be, you know, my dad was a physician, my mom was a nurse. In my case, my mom was a nurse. And I was so ill-equipped, as I've already highlighted for you, to be in a left brain occupation. Literally, my mother got me into college. Through sheer tenacity, she got me into nursing school. And I thought she was wonderful. I really wanted to follow her dream. I flunked out after the first semester. There were so many different emotions and things that I had to overcome. My mother was devastated. I mean, there was just so many things happening. What I can say to you is that unless your family is in some type of career awareness world, there is no possible way that they can be aware of the best opportunities that exist out there, all right? They would never in a million years believe that there is a person who does the Google art every single day. Not only a person, but a team of people. There is no way that they could think that there are over 100 different types of information technology jobs. They would never believe that a surgeon who operated one way 3 years ago doesn't operate the same way today, right? There are so many changes. If you are looking at having a grandchild, that position doesn't even exist for your grandbaby yet. That's how quickly we're seeing things change. So you have got to get outside of that family and friend block. They know you, they love you, they want you to succeed, and you've got to start exploring and seeing what other opportunities are out there. Because just looking at your small little sphere is not going to provide you the opportunities or diversities to build a great career, all right? And, you know, for any of those people that are out there that are saying, you know what, I'm left brain, I don't know what type of occupational choices that are up and coming. Great. You know, what do those look like, all right? We have resources at Career Reform to take you through that self-appraisal process that's literally been life-changing for people. Research career clusters. If you just Google that, you'll be able to see occupational choices that for the long haul have great, great prospects to them. So there's a bunch of ways to let your fingers do the walking, but you have to make sure that you're not identifying the I don't know, and you're thinking that that's an acceptable way to launch a future. You have got to go from the I don't know to I think to it's looking good to I'm pretty well sure to I'm sure. You've got to be making that step-by-step methodical change, because employers don't hire I don't knows. That's just the truth of it. Number 9 is education solves the problem of having no idea what you want to do when you grow up, all right? So the truth of the matter is, and it's just the reality of it, all right? Education, like any well-respected business, whether it be for-profit, whether it be non-for-profit, they are a business, and they are not in the business of helping people figure out what they want to be. They are not in the business of helping people identify a best fit occupational choice so that you can get a job, or wouldn't this be wonderful, right out of college, all right? They are in the business, supposedly, of helping you think in a way that you haven't thought before, to give you concepts that prepares you in such a way for the world out there. And what I can say to you is that employers are looking for experts. They are looking for a person who has a specialty. So if you are going for liberal arts, or if you are going for a very, very general degree, you have to be very aware of how that relates to that outside world. Stop and ask yourself, what type of jobs can I get? No one is asking that question before they go to college. They're just going there because they think it's great. They're going there because they think they should. Again, this is the logical next step. And in the meantime, there are so many positions that are going unfilled because we do not have the human capital resource to identify and find the type of people that my employers need to grow their businesses, all right? IT security, I just had one of my credit cards identity thefted. I just got a call from my credit card company, said, you know, did you go to Jake's in New York City and charge $10,000, all right? These are real threats. These are real problems, all right? Right now in Washington, D.C., there are 3,000 information technology security positions available and no one to fill them, all right? There are 3 colleges and universities in the country who offer this program, only 3, all right? So, again, you guys, these are the type of things, if you're a left-brain person, if you like law enforcement, if you like working on your computer, I mean, these are the type of things that you have to be checking out because it's just amazing. But please don't be as naive to think that education has your best interest in heart, because the fact of the matter is, it is up to you to move your future forward. We go right from there and stay on the educational mindset by saying higher education is absolutely going to equal higher number of job opportunities. So that's been pretty much ingrained into our head. You know, a four-year degree person is going to have a better opportunity than somebody with a high school education. I could do a whole webinar on how the statistical analysis, when you really break them down, doesn't match that piece of information. The truth of the matter is that you have got to choose a specialty that an employer is willing to pay money for, all right? So first and foremost, it matches who you are as a person, and second, when you get out in the market, there is literally going to be somebody interested in the skills that you've been trained in, all right? And that comes in a lot of shapes and sizes. People are ignoring the skilled trades. They are ignoring the associate degree track, although they've done a great job of really listening to the battle cries of employers. They are ignoring so many different outlets above and beyond that traditional four-year education, all right? That 4 years is turning into 5 years, and it's still not connecting with the critical thinking skills and other attributes that an employer is looking for. So that in itself, you guys, has got to be dispelled as there's only one ticket to ride. You have got to identify what is the best strategy for me to get to my best place, all right? And in many instances, it is not that traditional way to go. So please, buyer beware, invest wisely. Number 7 is certainly one that is near and dear to my heart because I hear this all the time as, you know, people can't communicate with me on an interview that personality doesn't matter. It does matter, all right? And it's always the people who don't have a personality that say it doesn't matter. And I'm certainly not looking to take a quiet person and put them into, you know, a Personality Plus program. What I am saying to you is that you are the only representation of you incorporated. You have got to be the best representation of you incorporated. If you are not enthused about yourself, if you are not convincing about yourself, that will have dramatic effects on your business model. So you have got to put yourself in an uncomfortable position. And again, remember, your brain's going to fight that. And you need to make it comfortable, whether it be through volunteering. Whatever the case may be, you got to move to being your best self. You watch any one of those crazy reality TV shows, and you see very, very clearly that it's the likable person, normally not the diva, normally not the quiet person. They all go into the woodwork, or they're the most hated. You have got to get that compliment of representing yourself in a way that resonates with not only an employer, but certainly your coworkers. So please, please, please keep that in mind. Number 6, you're too dang old to start over. Well, we've dispelled that myth. Goodness gracious. I mean, I can only say to you that our career reform platform, our program, our exercises, our webinars, they are one size fits all. This level of awareness can affect, again, the oldest person that we've seen transition very, very clearly from his old way of thinking was 61, and he was back to work within 2 weeks, all right? But it was that old-fashioned mindset that was keeping him back. It was his old-fashioned mindset that was stopping him from connecting with employers, all right? And after we worked weeks and weeks on dispelling those myths, he did an incredible job of transferring his background. And to be honest, he's still there today, 2 promotions later, and and doing fabulous. So it's just, simply not true. So please keep that in mind, all right? Number 7.
5.
We're counting down. Oh, geez, thank you, Amanda. Number 5 is I said, Amanda. All right. Competition is stiff. All right. Oh, gosh, I love this. I love the story of this. Do you remember what her name is, Amanda, that woman who from the...
Oh, it's Sonia, the Black Widow, and I don't remember her last name, but anybody in Buffalo knows that with the Buffalo Wing Fest that we do every summer, she is one of the main competitors, and she usually wins and out-eats these huge 200-pound guys.
I know, and she's like what? She's like, I think, under 100 pounds.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, I mean, she is such resilience. She knows she's got a mindset like competition, what competition? If that isn't an exercise in, oh, my God, thinking differently, I don't know what is. She has a strategy like you can't believe. I actually had followed her, and I can't remember whether it was through blog content or whatever the case may be, but it blew my mind about how she prepares, what she eats, how she eats it, the exercises she did. She doesn't just show up. And again, it just makes me think back about the speeches that I give at job fairs, and people just show up. They're not prepared. They don't know where they're going. They just meander around. What we're talking about here is that the level of preparation that you need to get through, because competition is not stiff. As much as you'd like to believe that, it is not stiff. As an employment agency owner, I can tell you, no, I can't tell you because I don't even know, because it's probably too painful for me to really kind of sit down and take a calculator to. I can't tell you how much more successful our agency would be if we could find people to fill positions. $60, $70, $80, $100,000 jobs. I mean, these are good paying positions, and we don't have the people that have the necessary hard skills, those left brain attributes, those then right brain skills, those people that have that holistic approach to the job search process is so lacking in what we see out there. So when people tell me about all these unemployed people and I went on an interview and there was 45 people, I am telling you that an employer is telling you that information because they don't want to hurt your feelings, all right? We just filled an engineering position. We went through 1,346 resumes to place one person. So we spoke to, we reviewed, we phone interviewed, we personally interviewed that amount of people to find one, all right, who was qualified. I'm telling you, if we would have found 5 people that were qualified, my employer would have hired them. We were thankful that we could find one because we have not identified these specialties and these niches that are really, really in demand, all right? No business would go into business if nobody was going to pull into that parking lot, get out, and buy what they were selling. Yet we build that business every single day, all right? So please, when you're doing this self-analysis, when you're doing and going through the self-awareness, you have to ask yourself, do I have a good business? All right? What does it look like? Do a SWOT analysis. That's SWOT. Look at your strengths. How do your strengths relate to the job opportunities? Are they being noted in the job description? Look at your weaknesses. Well, I'm missing Excel. I never transitioned to technology. Whatever they are, list them. Look at what your opportunities are. Can I get Excel training? Let's free at one stop. What do I need to do in order to make my business model great? And what are my threats? Because what I see is way too many people staying home and just thinking the world's going to change back, and the world never goes back. It only goes forward. And what's going to happen is you're going to stay on that couch. You have got to make the appropriate changes to move forward. Don't wait a year. Don't wait 2 years. Start now. I can't tell you, like Department of Labor will come in and say, well, Joan, we need you to come and speak to a group. They have 3 weeks left on unemployment. Really? Really? Could I maybe have gotten them in the beginning? 3 weeks left on unemployment, so let's come in and, kind of fix the major arteries there. It is difficult to do. Start now, all right? You owe it to yourself to invest in yourself, to make yourself as strong as possible. All right? Number 4, if you work hard, then the work world will be fair to you. I have one word for you, and that's business. All right? The truth of the matter is that businesses run like businesses today. As much as companies would love to keep people, even if you've done a great job, if they are not doing well, if they are bleeding, they have got to downsize people. And what I find is that we get emotionally attached to an employer, and all of our business sense leaves. I told you about the gentleman who just took a job to take a job. When I spoke to him about what's been happening over the course of the past couple of years, he recognized things were changing. He knew that the company was having problems. He was concerned about his future, but you know what he did? He did nothing. Because at the end of the day, like a golden retriever, he maintained loyalty. You own a business, and the business you own is your background. And it is up to you to move it when it is a best strategy for you to do that. Just like my business, all right? Just like your employer's business. They are going to do things for the best interest of their business. You need to start doing things for the best interest of yours. So if you've been downsized, I know what a car crash it is. I know the emotional toll when you're looking for a position. I know how you lose self-confidence. But you have got to start looking at this with a business mindset versus an emotional mindset that will not serve you well. Number 3, don't look for a better job. Be thankful that you have one. You own a business. The business you own is your background. It is not allowed to stay status quo. An employer will scrutinize every single move you make. They will deflect it back on them. Does this strategic move make sense? Does it make sense to me? Everything you say, they're thinking about themselves when you're saying it. So if you say to an employer, well, I took that job because it was more money. Well, I took that job because it was closer to my house. These are not concepts that an employer understands in that brain of his. So the truth of the matter is you have got to have a darn good reason why you've made transitions. And if you don't, then when you're sitting down and you're looking at the business of you've got to present a strategy that at least somehow can web and weave the story of your background together. Because that's the type of information that an employer understands. That's the type of information that they're attracted to. All right? Do not maintain a status quo. If you have been with your company for a period of years and your business has started to stabilize, and you aren't learning new things, and you aren't learning new concepts, go and look at the job boards. Compare it to your background. Are you keeping up? If you were downsized today, would you be competitive in the market? You have to start asking ourselves that question. And your brain's not going to like it. Your brain doesn't like that question. So it's going to say, just stay there. I told you to stay. That is the worst thing that you can do. All right? Add to your toolbox. Stay competitive. Always, always be in a position where you have an opportunity, if that job goes away or that company goes away or they go international, whatever the case may be, that you can leave there or you can grow within that company. But too many people, especially left-brainers, no offense, will hit that status quo and just kind of die there. And that is absolutely not doing the best thing for your business. So it's a very natural going into 2 that there are no good jobs. You guys, I can just say to you that I was just working within the Buffalo Public Schools, and I did a Facebook analogy, and we were going through and looking at a company that certainly the kids could very, very strongly relate to. And we broke down the positions that it takes to run Facebook. And then we looked at their classified opportunities. And the kids were just amazed about information technology jobs, all right, marketing positions, accounting, finance, sales, all these different roles, and the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of jobs that they have open that they can't fill. Because, of course, wouldn't everybody want to work at Facebook? They run into the exact same problems that all my employers are running into too. There are great jobs out there. The question is, can you fill them? Can you fill them? Because if you can, you will see your income go up exponentially. This is just not about an easy button. This is not just about a get rich quick, all right? It's not about any of those things. This is about requiring each and every person to have a plan that puts them into a mode where they can achieve greatness for themselves, all right? And it starts with your noggin. It starts with cleaning the slate, starting to work at throwing out these pieces of advice that you've been doled over the course of many, many, many years. I can assure you this is the same advice my father got. It was the same advice my grandpa got, all right? This is not that time, all right? So we've got to throw out those old ways of thinking and start fresh. How can I be the best I can be? Because number one is, it is not the economy. It is up to you to answer the needs of this new normal business economy. It is not up to the employers to create jobs for you. It is up to you to create a business model that is going to secure your future, all right? So extended unemployment and all of those things are just a Band-Aid for the type of things that you need to give consideration to. It is not, okay, well, the automotive industry, I was laid off from there, but it's going to come back. No, because they're building cars with, 40% less people than they did. And you know what? The new people that are starting within those companies are not making the big bucks that they used to, all right? Get rid of those thoughts and really start working on, all right, who am I? What is my background? How does it relate to a good, strong business model? And then how can I most appropriately market it? And if you've got a good background, if you're seeing opportunities out there, but they're not responding to your resume, it might be a resume problem. We've got an app for that, all right? If you're getting out there and you're interviewing and you're always the bridesmaid and never the bride, well, we've got an app for that. Those are consulting opportunities that we can work through, all right? So you have to look at that SWOT analysis, have an honest conversation with yourself, and really say, what are my weaknesses, all right? And then how do I have an opportunity to change those? Because, gone are the days where we have these insurmountable issues that we can't change. But in our mind, it just seems so overwhelming. So what do? We just stay in this constant state of paralysis. Go running, all right? Do whatever you can to get those endorphins running, okay? Don't hang out with negative people that are all lamenting that the economy is stopping them from, moving into this position, all right? Don't be with it, because that only just weighs and plays on your preconceived notions, and it's an unhealthy place to be. You don't want anybody looking at you when you're unemployed like you got a cancer, all right? My grandma used to say, oh, Joan, she's got the cancer, all right? You can get over this. You can get through this, but it starts here. And, certainly my book does a great job, if I do say so myself, and my editor here, Amanda. Amanda has got all different hats. All right. I think we did a great job. I'd love to tell you it was 2 days, but it was 10 years. It was a long process because I was so concerned about giving the most real-time, appropriate information as I possibly could. But the truth of the matter is we take these 10 pieces of bad advice and we really, really kind of turn them around to, okay, how do I change that? How do I start this thinking differently? How do I represent myself differently? How do I answer interview questions differently? All of those things are in there. So not only do I say to you, okay, this is a piece of bad advice, I give you real practical items and opportunities to turn around that piece of bad advice into the reality of really what's happening here today. So, you know, the first step, you guys, is you showed up. All right, you came here today because you saw a webinar that was just like, okay, wait a minute. This wasn't about me wearing nice clothes to an interview. This wasn't about me asking questions. What is the appropriate way to describe my weakness? Whatever, this wasn't traditional, all right? So give yourself kudos for even being open-minded to looking at yourself different. And then from here, you know, especially if you're unemployed, oh my gosh, spend today while you have this great information, really looking at your background, looking at your business, and starting to map out a plan to get you back on track. Because literally, through our process, we are so humbled and proud to say we have put thousands of people back to work, all right? In the worst economic times, we have put people back to work just by having them look at their future in a completely different way than they have in the past. Career reform.
And I have to just say, Joan, that if you had one takeaway from your book that I think is the most amazing part about it is that employer mindset, because most people don't know what an employer is really thinking. And Joan has literally asked them thousands of questions over the years to find out why they make the decisions they make in the hiring process and what makes people get ahead in their careers. So I really do think that that's one of the best things the book has to offer, is that whole thought process from A to Z.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, because again, you know, what we see and what we saw through the radio show, what we see in in-person interviews, it's a rare employer that feels comfortable saying, this is what I hate about candidates. They love telling us. Mm-hmm. They're very uncomfortable telling people directly. So I think it's safe to say, you know, I'm a career coach now, but I started as a recruiter. So I was in the best position to be Malcolm in the middle, understand where a candidate was coming from, understanding where an employer was coming from. So I hope that, you know, we've given you the opportunity to, you know, really open your mind, think about things differently, and you know, I know in closing, want to make sure, Amanda, do we have any outstanding questions out there, anything we need to address?
I know,
housekeeping.
I know a lot of you guys have requested materials and recordings. I will do my best to get all of them to you. The recording does take a little bit of time to process, so try and give me a few days if possible. I will try my best to get it up as soon as I can to YouTube because it's going to be a free recording for people to access and also on our website. And then I will try and get to you guys the slides and the links. So expect an email from me. If you don't want it, just ignore it, please.
Yeah, well, we'll get the information because we know how important that is. And certainly, again, go to our website. You know, we always offer, you know, discounts for people that participate in these webinars. So, you know, feel more than free to go to our website if you have any questions about any of our product lines. You know, you can touch base with me, you can touch base with Amanda and say, okay, this is my problem. What is the best product line to help me get out of this funk? You know, I had a gentleman who just came to me last week that, bottom line, he was interviewing terribly. And, you know, it was just let me coach you for an hour. Just let me coach you for an hour. You know, he's got two possibilities now. How many positions, how many opportunities have he let go by the wayside because he didn't think he needed help? Everybody we run into doesn't need help. I'm going to tell you right now, 99% of the population, in my professional opinion, needs career reform because they are ill-equipped to get out there and represent themselves in a way that really helps them put their best foot forward. So you're not a minority, you're really a majority. But the difference is you've just had the courage to kind of take it to that next level by getting involved in the process. So, you know, we're here for you. We're an email away, whatever the case may be. But, you know, I think the important thing is you know the resources. We'd love to have you pre-order the book. We'd love to see you at the book signing. Be happy to sign the book personally. You know, all of those type of things. And, again, any of our other resources, please don't hesitate to reach out because truly they're a great investment.
Yep, and I just want to say, you know, we've given you an hour of our time, and we really are committed to helping people get back to work and getting America back to work. But if you'd love to like us on Facebook, we have free updates every day about good job searching tips. We have all of our free events, our recordings on there, and it's just a great place to meet other people that are, you know, going through the same thing you are. So,
without a doubt, and don't hesitate to use Facebook even as a platform. We're happy to ask and answer a question on Facebook. I mean, you know, I have never, through all my career counseling, I have never been in a position where somebody hasn't been willing to be vulnerable, and then another person says, oh, my God, that's me. I have never done a webinar where somebody hasn't contacted me and said, oh, my God, Joan, I'm feeling those things. I think, you know, you were talking to me, all right, because so much of what it is you're thinking and feeling truly, truly relates to so many other people. So I've enjoyed spending my morning with you. I wish you the best of luck. I hope, again, you know, we've been a good resource in getting you back on track. And, you know, we look forward to, you know, consistent communications from that point. And the best communication is, I got a job. So that would be wonderful. But no more bad advice. All right, everyone? Have a great day.
thank you. Bye.